Hey. True Crime Broads with Crystal and Renee.
Like this show and want to make your own? Let me tell you about Anchor. It's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Now you can even add any song from Spotify directly to your episodes. The possibilities are endless for what you can create, whether it's music analysis, your own radio show, or something the world's never heard before. One of the things I like most about Anchor is they distribute your podcast for you, so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started today.
Hello, welcome to True Crime Broads. This is Crystal.
And Renee.
And we're so excited for you to join us today. How's everyone doing? Renee, how are you today?
I'm doing great. It's, still really hot in Texas, but I guess that's not the worst thing to be complaining about.
Yeah, that's right. And we had a little cool snap, which was fantastic from all that rain, but now we're right back into the heat and it looks like it's going to stay that way for a while here in North Texas, but that's all right. Okay, so today's episode is going to be about some things that could have gone wrong for the perpetrator. And what we mean by that, of course, is it would be good for Missy, good for the case, but bad for the perp. But before we get started, I thought I would read a good review we got. We really appreciate these so much. We want to acknowledge them on the air. The name of this review is Broad Crimes, and we got 5 stars. And the person who left it is Derek Leaked 88. D-E-R. Oh no, it's Derelict. D-E-R-E-L-E-A-K-E-D 88. And it says True Crime Broads is tackling a case I know very little about. It's fascinating to learn all the details, and the hosts are engaging and informative. It's a good listen for any true crime fans looking to learn about a lesser known subject. Give them a listen and subscribe now. So thank you, Derelict 88, for that wonderful review.
Nice.
And okay, so we'll go ahead and get started on today's episode. And we've put a lot of thought into, over the years, Renee and I have had so many conversations about how easily this could have been thwarted, this whole plan of the perpetrators, because there was just a lot of things that could have worked out really poorly for the perp. And I think one of the first ones and the simplest one I thought of was, it was extremely rainy that morning. And I mean, we're talking pretty hard rain for hours. And we were just saying, like, knowing Renee and me both, the perpetrator could have slipped and fallen in having wet feet like that. I know that sounds kind of silly, but it's happened to Renee and me so many times that we had to include that, because when it's raining, and she and I have talked about this many times, you go to the grocery store or something, bam, you can come close to, or actually fall flat on your butt.
Absolutely. Anybody that knows me personally, and I'm sure you've learned this about me through the years, I am very clumsy. And anything that's not, obviously rain and anything wet is going to be dangerous. I'm going to fall. So I absolutely agree with that. They could have just, walked in and just blew it. So.
Right. Renee?
I'm here.
Did you want to give the next one?
Yeah. Okay. So, okay. One of the things, this one right here, there's 2, but I'm going to go ahead and combine them because they're almost similar. One of them is the campers could have arrived earlier than what they did, because that was often the case. People would get there early so they could get, situated, get their stuff together, whatever. And Missy could have walked in with someone, which could have been, either way. She could have been with somebody, and that would have been bad for them because they would have had some, witness. So either way, that would have been bad for them. And I just think about that often if that had happened.
Right. And what I think about too is that was that early arrivers. There's the two women that always worked out at 4:30 that just happened to not show up that day, which that right there is another one. I mean, those two early arriver ladies could have easily been there. One of them saw it was raining and decided just, I'm not going. The other lady had a flat tire and she ended up getting there at 5 instead of 4:30 because her son had to come and help her change the tires. So that is another one. But also I thought about, she had a male that was going to be an early arriver workout student starting at 4:30. And that was his first morning. And I could easily see Missy waiting and walking in with him, waiting outside. So
Right.
yeah, anything like that, any number of different ways that, or someone could have come early to help her set up, like you said, there's so many different scenarios where she wouldn't have been alone that horrible morning, and the perpetrator would have either had to kill more than one person or probably hopefully been outnumbered and not been successful in their mission to kill Missy.
Right. That's exactly
Um,
right. One of the things that I think about, I something that I had actually heard, not what I think about, is that in Camp Gladiator now, they aren't allowed to go in to a place at all, I think. But if they do go in somewhere, like in extenuating circumstances where they need to go inside, like the weather's extremely, dangerous or whatever, they have to go in with somebody. And unfortunately, I wish it would have been made a rule sooner than that. But I think that that's a really good rule to have, because obviously it can save somebody's life.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know that. Yeah, that should be the rule. It's really sad that you can't walk into a supposedly vacant building and be safe anymore, but that's the way the world is. That's what we keep learning. Anyway, it's really sad.
Yep.
Okay, on to the next one. One that I came up with was, Missy was trained in self-defense. We had seen many check-ins that she made on Facebook that she was attending some of her colleagues' self-defense classes. And it would stand to reason that she would have at least some level of self-defense knowledge and training. And, you know, and she was strong. She was very fit. She worked out all the time.
It really was.
You can tell by looking at those pictures of her. So, she could have easily gotten the upper hand in an altercation. And if there was a gun involved, which we're pretty sure there was, she could have grabbed the gun and she could have dominated that situation. I think she must have been caught off guard. Of course, you would be walking into the dark, doing your normal routine, and then seeing someone like that, especially dressed in police tactical gear. I'm sure she was caught very much off guard, but unfortunately they did get the upper hand. But I could see it going the other way. I could see her getting a hold of the gun and getting away and running off and taking the gun with her, or shooting the perpetrator first and then running out. That would have been an awesome conclusion to that.
Right. I remember people asking many times through the years, why the church, and sometimes people even say that's why they think it's untargeted, because they feel like the church wasn't something they chose to do on purpose. I actually disagree with that. I actually think that they chose the church for that reason, because her guard would be down, because you don't go into a church thinking, oh, is this, it's dangerous. I mean, you're out in the middle of the country. You're in a safe, city, Midlothian, right at the edge of Waxahachie. You don't hear of things. It's not like you're in Chicago or downtown Dallas. You're in a safe area and a church. So I think that was another thing that was an advantage for this person, because her guard was down. She was walking in thinking, I'm the only one here.
Yeah, it had to have just been incredibly shocking and horrifying and then horrifying when she realized that person was there to harm her. It's really infuriating. Another one I thought of was the passerby. There was a gentleman who makes that route every morning for work, and he always passes the church. And that morning, he noticed a small dark SUV exiting the church. about 4:35 a.m. So he just took note of it because usually I guess he's used to perhaps seeing a few cars there, people arriving, but seeing somebody exit the church, that was unusual. And so he remembered it. He did not notify the police right away, but when he saw the broadcast later that day and saw what happened to Missy and realized it's the exact same church close to where he works, he picked up the phone and called MPD like any good citizen would. Now, looking back on that, it could have turned out a lot worse for the perpetrator. The passerby could have reported seeing a car leaving that early and just said, hey, police, you might want to check this out. Maybe there was a robbery or something because I've never seen anyone leave the church that time of morning. Now, usually people won't call things like that in, but it does happen. Sometimes people are overly cautious and would report something like that because there's so little activity around there that early. But he did, thank goodness he did make note of it and let the police know. But I was just saying that, it's possible the passerby could have been really freaked out by that and decided to report it to the police immediately.
Yeah, that would have been such a blessing. That would have happened for sure.
Right. And kind of piggybacking on that, another concept I was thinking of is if the perpetrator would have been pulled over either before or after the crime, I have to believe that it's just my personal belief that the perpetrator left wearing the gear. I don't believe that they would take time to undress and change. I know a lot of people have said maybe they dropped a duffel bag in the kitchen area and then changed. I think once the murder was over, now we could debate about whether or not they did that on the way in, but I really feel like, and if it's true what Captain Span said at that very first press conference, that the perpetrator was seen after the murder going down a hallway, presumably to leave the same way they came in, then that would, to me, mean that they did not take time to undress or change clothes, that they literally booked it and got out of there, which would make sense after you just killed someone and a class is about to take place and you're cutting it really close on time anyway. I just have to, my deductive reasoning makes me say that they left. So if they got pulled over by police, how do you explain that? You're wearing police riot gear. You're not a cop, more than likely. We can't say for sure because there's not been an arrest yet, but probably not an actual police officer, and potentially have blood on you. How do you explain that if you get pulled over? And police are so much more likely to pull you over at 4:30 in the morning or 2:30 when they, 3:00 when they arrived, 3:30 than they are other times of the day. Cars just look more suspicious. You kind of get watched a little more closely, and there's so fewer cars on the road. Your odds of being pulled over skyrocket.
Yeah, you stick out like a sore thumb.
Right. And a lot of times police are just wondering, what are you doing out at this hour? So if they would have failed to use their blinker or had anything like I was running around recently with one of my brake lights out. I had no idea until someone told me. So there could have been something wrong with their car that caused them to get pulled over. They could have maybe not used a blinker to change lanes. Sometimes police are looking for a reason to talk to people at 4:30. They're out in the rain. It's like, come on, what are you doing? Not all police officers, but some. And I think that there would have been a really good chance they got pulled over. So they really lucked out on a lot of levels in this case. And, and also if they had the gun in the car, that would not look good. If they had any of those tools in the car with them, that wouldn't look good. I know that there's information that the gun was left at the scene that we sort of got from the Ellis County report, but probably it was not left, and that was actually Missy's gun they were referring to. So a lot of confusion surrounding the gun, but if they had the gun in the car, that would have been really bad news for the perpetrator.
Yep, absolutely true. The next one that I have kind of goes along with what you were saying a little bit. They would have it would have been really worked out really bad for them had there been a silent alarm. I mean, I know that in my mind, I kind of thought that maybe they broke in, went across the street to the SWFA and sat there for a few minutes waiting to see if any kind of authorities were going to come, any lights, whatever. And then nothing happened. And then they went ahead and proceeded with their plan, what they had, put into motion. But at the same time, had there been a silent alarm, it's possible that there was nobody available to come right away because they were on some other call. You never know what's going on. And they would have came after that, and they still could have been caught in the act, and they wouldn't have known because they didn't know anything about a silent alarm. So that could have been something that definitely would have went wrong for them.
Right. And there's a really high chance in my mind that ultimately has nothing to do with this crime. And I think it's possible the perpetrator is too dumb to check it out ahead of time, and they just lucked out. And even more reason why it could have been a silent alarm that they didn't know about. So hopefully we'll find out someday. But yeah, that's pretty wild. I mean, they just they were so bold, they just really took a lot of chances, and they had luck on their side. I believe you had one about some cameras across the street.
Yeah. I also was thinking that it would be really bad if there were the cameras. There's a Firefly Gardens across the street, and there's a camera when you are in the driveway of the church, and you're literally like leaving. You are, dead on facing Firefly Gardens. There's a camera right there. I don't know. None of us know what the status of that was, if they, had any video, but I can't imagine that they would, because if they did, I can't see how they couldn't get much more information about what they were looking for, because that camera is just right there, just facing you. So if that had been the case, I think they would have really got some good information, at least hopefully. I know it was dark and I understand it was raining, but you would think so, with it being so close and right in front of the right towards the vehicle.
Right. And any of those businesses, it's shocking to me that they weren't able to pick up the perpetrator's car, because we know MPD talked to Whataburger down the road on 287, and they pulled their video and there was nothing. So really stinks that they didn't get anything. Obviously they got some great video inside the church, but it's a shame they couldn't get some positive identification on a vehicle. That would really narrow down who this was.
Yeah, I really think that the whoever it is that makes these surveillance cameras has got to step it up, because the camera that I have on my front porch gets much better surveillance than what you see in these cameras. In my opinion.
Yeah.
I just feel like, even in the dark and when it's raining, I can still see much more than what we can see on that. And I don't understand that. And it seems like it's across the board. They have a show about crimes that happened while on camera. And every one of them, you can't see the face. You can't see, like, if there's a word on their shirt, you can't see it. It's just crazy.
That really is crazy. State-of-the-art cameras are not expensive anymore. So I would be interested. I remember we heard from a reliable source at the church that they completely got a brand new camera system after the murder. It'd be interesting to know how good they are now. Hopefully there won't be any more crimes where we'll have to find out. But I hope that they're higher quality, and that might have been the point of replacing them.
Exactly. I would think so. Hope
All
so,
righty.
anyway.
We've got one more.
Any more?
We got one more. Do you want to take it? Or do you want me to take it?
I was saving this one for last. I don't know if this is what you're talking about, but Missy could have had her gun on her.
Yep.
That would have been 100% game changer if she would have had her gun on her, because, she would have been able to just, hopefully see, or whatever the circumstances was, how everything happened, and hopefully be able to pull out her gun and defend herself. And so, I hate it so much that she didn't have it on her, and that she did have a gun. So
yes, it was in her truck.
changed everything. It's like, and the good thing about it, now, I don't know about then, because I don't think this was the case, but now they have so many of those, workout, I don't want to call them pants. What am I trying to say, Crystal? They have pockets in them, and you can put a cell phone in there. You could definitely put a gun in there, and they're fairly tight, so it's not going to just be all moving around and everything. Of course, she could have just brought it and then put it somewhere while they were working out, but man, I just hate that so much that she wasn't able to do that. But if she would have had that on her, everything we would have been hearing a completely different story.
That's right. And it makes sense though that her guard would be down. She's done that so many times before. You're just unloading and you need both your hands free. Like you said, it'd be nice if it could have been tucked away, but wearing workout gear, the odds of having a comfortable place to put it are even more slim. So I totally get why she left it in the truck. It's just a horrible shame. That would be the time that danger was on the other side of that door.
That's why they have those and me, I can never think of what I'm trying to say, but those purses where you can put them over your head, kind of up across your shoulder. They have those that hold guns, and I'm just saying this for whoever may need to hear it. You can put it in there and you still have your hands free. It's not like you've got it on your shoulder and it's falling off, and they're very lightweight, but they have those that you can put a gun in. So anybody that needs to hear that, that's something to do. Just if you're ever in a situation where you're alone and want to be protected, just keep your guns, whatever, with you.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. They would have a crossbody that would do that. That's awesome. But anyway, I think that's it. What we wanted to discuss on today's episode is we really just kind of over the years have made so many comments about the things that could have gone wrong for the perpetrator. So we thought we would make a list of them and put them in a new episode. And Renee, I think you had some stuff you wanted to update us on.
Yes. We've had a couple people asking us about an update on the billboard. And so let everybody know that we get the billboard funded through the end of September. And potentially we have it funded through the end of the year, but we'll update y'all more on that as we find out more information. And then another thing that I wanted to talk about was we have been trying to, and I think some of you already know, we've had several different contests and so forth. And we had gave away some masks and some playing cards and so forth. And so we wanted to keep doing that because we want to grow our podcast. We want people to continue hearing it. We want to get new people listening to the podcast because we're hoping the right person will hear it, somebody that knows something. So we need y'all's help. We have posted a couple different times that we wanted to give away one of our True Crime Broads t-shirts, and we haven't gotten any response back on it. So we wanted to see if y'all could either give us some pointers or see how we can get everybody to participate in, entering the giveaway. I mean, they're nice shirts. I think anybody would be happy to get one, wouldn't you? I mean, we've even bought extras.
Yeah, we got some for ourselves. Renee wore one every day at CrimeCon. You had a couple of them. And they're made they're really good quality. They're made by Bella Canvas. And at some point in time, we might decide to start selling them. But for now, it's just for a giveaway. So yeah, if you're interested, please hop over to our Facebook page and enter to win. Yep.
We would really like that if y'all could check it out and give us some pointers on any kind of way we can put that together and get everybody's attention so we can let everybody participate in it.
All right. Well,
that's all I have.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in to True Crime Broads. We hope you have a fantastic day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Yo, Pierre, you want to come out here? Hey. Straight up the black, 12 o'clock. I paying cash, you do the math. I bust the bag, you took the tab. How could you fast? You at a gas. Money net status in my crew. Everywhere we go, we dripping like we fools. Everywhere we go, we dripping till we cool.
block. Lil Hoo-Boo in the drop top. Money overflow, it can't stop. Look at your bank, it's a quick drop. Diamonds round my neck, looking sharp. You a little minnow, I'm a shark. My future bright, but yours dark. Flexing up foreign, push to start. You pull up in the Chevy, you so boring. My bank heavy, pull up in a foreign. If you start to talk, see you in the morning. Please don't speak, cause I'll be snoring.
Oh no, Bleepo's back.
Skirt off the block, 12 on the clock. I pay in cash, you do the math. I bust the bag, you take the tab. My cut you fast, you out of gas. Skirt off the block, 12 on the clock. I pay in cash, you do the math. I bust the bag, you take the tab. My cut you fast, you out of gas.